Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is the fourth film in the Friday the 13th series, though certainly not the last. This one stands out for me on a personal level because this is the only one that I've actually seen on the big screen, which was very, very cool. It was about 2 years ago. A local theater had a screening on a Friday the 13th, and they were screening this and had a life-size Jason mannequin that you could take pictures with and all that kind of stuff. So sitting in the theater with all these Jason fans or perhaps people who hadn't seen it before being introduced to it was quite fun. I actually did. I dragged my best friend along with me who had never seen one of these movies, and I do think in a lot of ways this is kind of the one of the best movies to introduce someone to this series. One of the defining, definitive, ultimate Jason movies, I would say, because I mean there is no gimmick to it. There's no, you know, 3D stuff flying at the screen. There's no psychic girl fighting against him. He's not in space, nothing like that. He has the mask, which is always a plus. It's just pure Jason carnage, which is great. Maybe the only thing that keeps it from being kind of the absolute be all end all of Friday films, maybe it's kind of like a petty detraction, but just because it's not about camp counselors. So you always kind of think Jason stalking camp counselors and killing them. Here it's not, but close enough to being kind of the definitive one. It does actually have kind of a plot to it, at least a little bit. It picks up literally minutes after the third film. Jason's taken to the morgue, and of course he's not really dead. He gets up and kills the staff and escapes, and he's going back to Crystal Lake. And that's where it happens that a group of teenagers have set themselves up at a house by the lake next to a family, the Jarvis family, and their paths kind of cross amidst this Jason carnage. And added to that, we do have another character crossing their paths, a young man whose sister was one of Jason's victims. He's tracking him down. He's learned all the stuff there is to learn about Jason, his past, the drowning, the Crystal Lake murders, and all of that, and he's looking to settle a score, basically. So all this kind of comes together within this film. And it is, of course, Tommy Jarvis who finally kind of figures out the key to exploiting Jason in some way, because he does have special effects knowledge and is able to confuse Jason in a way, in a similar way to how Ginny did in part two, by making himself up to look like a young Jason who was drowned all those years ago. So interesting stuff, and definitely a plus here is that we do have a little bit of star power in the movie. Of course, we have Corey Feldman playing Tommy Jarvis, who's very good in the role. This was pre Goonies, pre Lost Boys. It must have been like one of his very first movies, kind of standout movies. So he's really good. And we have Crispin Glover as well, who's very fun in his role, playing kind of the scorned sex-starved teenager who's worried about you know an ex, and trying to move on from that kind of stuff, and trying to impress some new girls with some terrible dancing skills, which is more horrifying than any on-screen kill that we see in the film, I guess. But he's a lot of fun. So yeah, there's good stuff to the movie. And another plus here is that unlike a lot of the movies in this series, this one takes it a little bit more seriously. There's humor, but it is more from the characters and their interactions and things like that. So it definitely includes some funny moments, but it's not like this self-referential, jokey thing, which another film which you could call the definitive Jason Part 6, that kind of got a little bit jokey, so maybe that wouldn't be everyone's taste, but this one takes it more seriously. It's darker in tone. It tries for some good scares, and I think it does get them. I mean, there are some pretty decent jump scares in the movie. Like there are still some parts that work pretty well, and of course, good kills. We have Tom Savini returning for the special effects, and his presence was missed after the first film, so it does make a difference, and probably it is, aside from maybe part 7 actually, the best unmasked Jason makeup, which is really cool, really gruesome, and of course it all leads to that pretty gnarly final scene where he's being killed. Spoilers, I guess, but no, it's the fourth film. It's not the last one. There's plenty more after this, so it is among the best of the Friday the 13th. If this is, if something a little bit more serious without kind of the self-referential humor is more your kind of thing, I'd say this one is kind of ideal. I would say that if you do happen to be introducing, a friend to this series, this might actually be the best one to start with, in my opinion. Kind of has all you'd expect from a Jason movie, except for the camp counselors, which is a small detail, uh, but a fair enough one. You always kind of think Jason and camp counselors, right? That's the thing. But he has the mask. He has the terrible kills and all that. There's a dog in the movie. The dog jumps out the window. It's some crazy shit going on in this movie. Crispin Glover's dancing, and twins. Count them, 1, 2, twins. So yeah, this is it has all the ingredients for a Friday the 13th movie, I guess. And this, of course, it's a new part of the Friday the 13th Shout Factory set. This one has a new 4K transfer from the original negative. Looks great, which is a good thing, because I mean, this, in addition to being darker thematically, it was, I'd say, maybe the darkest, visually, out of all the films. I would say there are, some dark moments, but it looks really good in this new transfer, so that's pretty much a non-issue at this point. So they did a really good job, particularly with the first 4 movies, on the transfers for this new set. These are probably going to be the only ones that I'm reviewing this year. The first 4, it's a quadrilogy, if you want to call it that. We have a story that begins with Betsy Palmer, Pamela Voorhees stalking and killing the camp counselors of Camp Blood, and evolves into the story of the woodsman Jason with the burlap sack over his head, and finally to this semi sort of zombie character, which they would explore further along the series. Unstoppable killing machine Jason with the hockey mask. So a good 4-movie arc, I would say, that's filled with chills and thrills and stupid teenagers having sex, doing drugs, getting killed, all the stuff you could hope for in a movie like this. So yeah, I'd say, the original 4, it's a very solid set of films. If you're a horror fan, slasher fan, these are kind of the core original movies. Though of course, I mean, I do like a lot of the sequels that followed these, but the original 4 is kind of, at least, the standard, I would say, for this series. So that's my review, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Stay tuned for more reviews. We're doing 31 Days of Horror still. Horror movie reviews every day. Stay tuned, stay scared, and until next time, I'll see you later.